Hey y'all, hi. I'm so excited about filming this video. I'm going to be sharing with you my current top 3 strategies for making good decisions when it comes to deciding what to buy and what not to buy. This video is focused on clothing and makeup because those are my personal vices. So I'm going to be talking about the strategies as they apply to making good decisions about buying clothing and makeup. But I hope that you'll be able to apply the strategies to your personal vices, whatever they may be, if yours differ from mine. Quick overview of how the video is going to unfold. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about the why of the video, why I have these strategies, why I need them, why I think you might need them, and why I decided to make a video about them. Then I'm going to go through each of the 3 strategies, and I'll timestamp those sections of the video down below. So if you want to skip the why and just go straight to the strategies, you can do that by scrolling through the bar at the bottom of the video or by clicking the timestamps in the description box down below. If this is your first time to my channel, then welcome. I'm not finished making this background. I'm in a new space. It's a work in progress. We're getting there, but I still need to finish painting. This is not some sort of dramatic background feature. It's just a big swatch on the wall because I was trying to decide which color to paint. But in the meantime, the show must go on. My name is Hannah, and if you like this video, I hope you'll subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is about loving beautiful things and fostering that love in a healthy way without overspending on them. Let's go ahead now and get into the meat of the video. Here's the thing. I love buying beautiful things, buying them, owning them, and using them. I love buying, owning, and using beautiful makeup and beautiful clothing in particular. I feel like the fashion industry and the beauty industry both are rife with problems, but there's a lot of joy and depth in fashion and beauty too, the way there is in any art form. And I feel like apropos of this, in any community that connects people to each other. I think, and I've said this before, and I'll probably say it again, I think that a passionate love of beauty is a good quality in a person. I actually think that it's a kind of superpower. And while we're at it, I've said this before and I'll say it again too, I think that stylized femininity and feminine gender expression are also precious and powerful forces in the world. And one of the things that I think about doing here on my channel is celebrating and helping to protect those forces. This channel is not about squashing the love of beautiful things or shaming oneself for powerfully feeling that love and the desires that can issue from it. But we lovers of beautiful things, we are living in this world of insane abundance. The sheer volume of stuff at every price point that's available to buy, it's unprecedented in human history. And a lot of that stuff is really beautiful and pulls on our heartstrings. The sheer volume of stuff that's being manufactured and consumed is creating a lot of problems, right? So one problem that we all share is pollution. Another problem that is specific to just some of us is debt. And those two get a lot of airtime and they are really serious. But the problem that I want to focus on today is the detrimental effect of that volume, that overabundance of available stuff on the aforementioned superpower itself. And remember, the superpower that I talked about was the love of beauty. In my experience as someone who's very sensitive to aesthetics, the ultra availability of beautiful things is actually a threat to the well-being of that sensitivity. Here's the metaphor I thought of. It's like if you eat a whole bunch of lab-created processed foods that's like packed full of super stimulating salt and sugar, it feels amazing and you're eating it and you're eating it and your taste buds go wild. But you wouldn't want to go straight from that to like taking a sip of a really expensive wine or a bite of an exquisite pastry or even like a bite of a perfectly ripe strawberry, full of flavor for a strawberry. The wine, the pastry, the strawberry, those bites wouldn't be what they could. You wouldn't really be in that experience after having just eaten a bunch of processed food because the overstimulation will have essentially obliterated the ability of your taste buds to really enjoy extraordinary flavors. And likewise, if you spend every evening drinking cups and cups of the most expensive wine and eating piles of the fanciest and most subtly and exquisitely flavored pastry, that too will over time inure you to the experience of tasting those flavors in a similar way, but like from the opposite direction or for the opposite reason. My experience with the vast availability of beautiful things to buy is that the volume of them and intensity of them can easily cause one or both of those things to happen. A loss of the extraordinary, the extraordinary feeling of that love, or a dampening of the ability to feel it. And that scares me because everything that I want to do as an artist and an overall member of society rests on the ability to love, right? The sensitivity to that side of myself, my relationship with my own love of other beings, but also just the shapes, the forms, the color, the texture, the fabric of the life that we're so privileged to be living. So we, passionate lovers of beautiful things, need strategies to navigate this landscape of overabundance and stay grounded. And that's what this video is about, my current top 3 strategies for deciding what to buy and what not to buy. I know that I've made it sound really philosophical, but it boils down to something really practical and applicable. So this could be really helpful if you're on a budget and you're trying to decide what to buy with the portion of your budget that you've set aside for clothes or makeup or whatever else you like to buy. It could also be really helpful if you're trying to consume less in general so that you'll produce less waste. I personally have both of those reasons myself. I think they're really important and valid. But I want to reiterate before I get into the list of 3 strategies, which I'm about to do, I want to reiterate that becoming a more thoughtful consumer isn't just a way of protecting the planet or protecting your wallet. It is also a way of protecting your heart. The planet, your money, your inner life, all 3 of those things are connected. And I'm hoping that this list will speak to all of them. So strategy number 1 is one that I call wish list and wait. And I've talked about this a number of times on my channel, kind of just when it's come up. And I don't know if I've ever really presented it as like a solid bullet point, complete, discrete strategy, but I definitely do use it that way, and I want to present it that way to you today. It's one of the best. It's just what it sounds like, right? When you want something. And for all 3 of these strategies, we will go through the motions of it, right? And let's say that the thing that we want today is a blouse. That's like one of my vices. I'm often over here wanting a blouse, okay? I so frequently want a blouse that if I were to give in to my desire for a blouse every time I want any blouse, I would be completely broke, thousands and thousands of dollars in debt, actually, and I would have more blouses that I could possibly wear in a lifetime. My desire to buy a blouse far outstrips what would be reasonable for me, for the planet, for my wallet, or for my inner life. So today we want a blouse. First, we're going to apply strategy number 1, wish list and wait. When I want a blouse, frequently what I do is to read about it online, think about what it would look like on my body, think about how much I would love to wear it, pine away. I often put it into my shopping cart. I often act like I'm going to buy it. And then I need a strategy, right? Because I'm trying to navigate this landscape of overabundance and I'm trying to protect my wallet, my planet, and my heart. So often what I will do is to put that blouse onto an online wish list. And I think that there are probably a number of online wish list apps or plugins or whatever. I use one called Wishlister. I've been using it for years. And I find that it works brilliantly as kind of a stopgap and clarifying measure. And it works brilliantly for 2 reasons. 1, putting something that you are urgently feeling the desire to purchase online, clicking through and adding it to an online wish list, it kind of mimics the act of putting it in your cart and checking out. It's like you're making a decision, a sort of final decision. You're giving it status, you're elevating it, you're putting your stamp on it. You're saying like, I want it enough to put it on my wish list. And if what you're used to doing online when you're shopping is to say, I want it enough to buy it and then buying it, and you're trying to kind of break free from that cycle, wanting it and then making a decision to wish list it and then adding it officially to your online wish list, it feels like you've arrived at a resting place. You've made some kind of decision, and it can kind of help you to close the book, at least for the day, at least for the time being, on that thing without having made the purchase. It gives you time. And the second part of this strategy number 1, is wait. At least in my experience, the vast majority of those urgent desires to buy that blouse right now or to buy that piece of makeup or whatever it is, the vast majority of them fade over time. And I think that one of the reasons that we who covet and love beautiful things struggle to discern is that when you first find out about something, the desire feels so urgent and it feels so real, and you really feel like you can trust it. And then over time, like 95% of those desires fade. And a lot of times we, especially overspenders, which I was in the past, a lot of the times we find out which desires are going to fade only after we've bought all the things, right? So if I want 10 blouses and I'm trying to figure out which one I'm actually going to love the most, what I used to do, it wasn't quite this bad with blouses, but just for the sake of the video, the kind of behavior in which I used to engage was sort of the equivalent of just buying all the blouses. Because on Monday, I find this blouse and it feels like, oh my gosh, it's perfect. I need it so much. And I immediately buy it. A couple days later, another one. Oh my gosh, it's perfect. I need it. I immediately buy it. And I do that until I've bought all 10 blouses that are coming across my feed this month or whatever. Then a couple of months later, I've owned all of these blouses, hundreds of dollars worth of blouses. And there's only really one of them that I really, really love, that continues to spark joy, that's kind of become part of the identity of the body that I'm wearing, like in this world, you know, and I'm so happy that I bought that one blouse. What I do now is I wish list all of the blouses and equivalent things. And then every couple of weeks, I go back to my online wish list and I look over it. Almost every time I look over it and I erase almost everything that I wish listed within the previous 3 or 4 weeks because I genuinely don't want it anymore. I look back at the wish list and I'm like, why did I put that on it? Or I look over the wish list and one thing jumps out and I'm like, that is definitely the one. Of all of these things here, comparing them all to each other with a little distance and with those like chemicals of excitement kind of in a calmer place, I have the clarity. So that's strategy number 1. And before we move on to strategy number 2, I want to briefly address the potential challenges to the wish list and wait strategy. There are some things that can prevent wish list and wait from working. And those things are scarcity mindset, right? The fear that the thing will sell out, and sales. When something's on sale and you're worried that it's going to go back to full price, so you have to buy it now. If something's making you feel like you have to buy it now, because it's going to sell out and you'll miss it, or because it's going to go back to full price and you're going to miss the chance to save money on it, it can be hard to wish list and wait because you feel like I'm going to put it on my wish list and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to have missed my chance. So for me, those feelings of motivation to skip wish list and wait and to buy the thing right now, over the course of my evolving relationship with shopping, those have become red flags for me. When I feel that feeling like I can't wait, I have to buy it now or I'm going to miss my chance. At this point, if something makes me feel that feeling, it's almost automatically off my shopping list. It's like the black spot for something, for a desire. If the desire goes along with that sense of scarcity and urgency and fear, I've trained myself to be like, nope, it's the black spot. It's a no. There are so many beautiful things that make me want them all the time that I've gotten to the point where if I have to give the black spot to one of them because it's making me feel that way, I can take it. But it is much, much, much easier said than done, what I'm saying right now, to just say no to a desire simply because it's limited edition, on sale, making you feel those feelings of urgency. And it has taken me a long time to get to this point where I can, for the most part, and I'm not perfect, right? And sometimes I do impulse buy things, but inside of the structure of these guidelines, when I'm my best and healthiest self in terms of my relationship to my own love of beautiful things, to have gotten to the point where I can just take something off the table if it's giving me or trying to give me those panicky feelings. As many of you know, it took me stopping shopping for an entire year, taking an entire year off of shopping to give myself the space, the time, and the kind of mental respite from the cycle to build the strength of will, to be able to just shrug and back away from something that's making me want to buy it right at this very moment. I see you in the comments from time to time telling me that you just can't resist the scarcity mindset, things that are limited edition, things that are on sale, that's your absolute Achilles heel and that you just cannot stop yourself. Based on my own experience, I just want to briefly put it out there that if that's you, it might be an indication that your desire for that piece of makeup or that item of clothing is bound up with like a kind of suffering that runs deeper than you know that it does, and that it doesn't always feel like it might be connected to. That was the case for me. That was me before my no-buy year. And in some cases, still is a little bit. Right? I know what it is now and I can feel it and look at it, but it's a journey untangling all of this stuff, you know? And in my experience, if you just cannot resist, then it may be an indication that you're using shopping as a replacement for practices that would help you develop actual self-love. So quickly, 2 suggestions if you feel like that's you. 1, some kind of no-buy project that worked really well for me, and I will link a couple of videos down below about my no-buy year, my suggestions for how to do a no-buy year, my video, should you do a no-buy year. And my second suggestion is some kind of guidance, delving into the work of developing actual self-love, right? A therapist, a mentor of some kind, a book even, a class. I'm really into this class that my brilliant friend Julia Frodal teaches. It's about cultivating compassion for the self and through that compassion for all beings. I'll link it too. I also love the meditations and books of Tara Brach. We'll link her. Pema Chodron. I read some amazing books by Pema Chodron during my no-buy year that helped me develop my thinking around these things. This is all just to say, if you're hearing me talk about wish list and wait, and you're like, well, that's all very easy for you to say, but I literally cannot, it might be worth considering that it's not all about shopping, right? And that there are things that you could do to help free yourself from that sense of false urgency. Let us move finally on to tactic number 2. And I've given this tactic the catchy, memorable title of longevity visualization. It's pretty simple. Before you buy the thing, imagine where it will be and what it will look like 1 month after you buy it. Let's talk about the blouse, right? So I want this blouse, this beautiful, perfect looking blouse, structurally, it's everything. It's wrinkle-free, it's flowing. The placards are pressed, the collar is pressed. And when I put it on for the first time, it's going to look hopefully just like it does in the picture. But what's it going to look like right after it's washed for the first time? Like, how am I going to wash it? Is it dry clean only? Will I easily be able to wash it with all of my other clothes? Or is there something about it that makes it difficult? And then even if I wash it, following the instructions perfectly, and I take extra special care with it if that's needed, even if I do that, or say that it's one that you can like wash in hot water and throw in the dryer because for some reason that's how it's constructed, or that's what it says on the instructions, on the tag, no matter how I am going to wash it, what's it going to look like after that? Is it going to look and feel similar to the thing that I bought, the thing that I'm wanting to buy, that my finger is hovering over the button to purchase right now? Is it going to look like the blouse that I'm imagining, that I'm fantasizing about wearing? In so many cases today, with the way that the fashion industry is run, the answer is an unequivocal no. Clothes do not fit the same after you wash them, even just one time. And I heard recently that most clothing today is literally designed not to last longer than 10 washes. is. Like literally the people designing it are thinking of it as a perishable good, an imminently perishable good. And even if you don't know a lot about fabric, I do know a lot about fabric because I used to make tango clothing. I used to run a business where I handmade pieces of tango clothing for tango dancers. But even if you don't know a lot about fabric, you might be able to draw on your previous experience just with clothes and with shopping from shops. Like if there's a shop that you like to shop at and you've bought t-shirts from them before because you love the way they fit, but after you've washed them a couple times, they're never quite the same. They don't quite fit the same. That's what you're buying when you buy the thing. The way it's going to look and feel after a couple washes, that's the item of clothing that you're buying. With makeup, how often will you use it within a month? And then what's it going to look like at the end of that month? What's it going to look and feel like when it's used, smudged, dirty? Where is it going to be in a month? Will it be in your handbag? Will it be in the back of a drawer? Which drawer will it be in? What will you be excited about in a month? It? Still? This lipstick still in a month? That's the first step in longevity visualization. And then the next step is to imagine where it's going to be and what it's going to look like in 6 months. And then imagine 1 year. Where is the blouse going to be in 1 year? Can you imagine yourself still wanting to wear it, still wearing it? In 1 year, can you imagine yourself getting rid of it, wanting to get rid of it? And if you can, where will it go after that? In my experience, and I do take myself through longevity visualization, particularly with clothing, because I'm a real stickler for clothing. My personal thoughtfulness around the consumption of fashion has really taken this form of intense focus on longevity. I want to be wearing the clothes that I buy for as long as possible, and I want them to feel as fine as possible, as quality as possible, to keep alive that spark of excitement, the spark of my love of beauty and of their beauty. I don't want that to die because the item of clothing that I purchased started falling apart in the wash after a couple of months or started looking dingy, or because it was white and I spilled something on it. Like those can be answers to this too. Like this beautiful white sweater, well, what's it going to look like in 2 months? It's going to have wine stain on it, right? For some of us. Or it might be dingy because of the fabric or because of the color. I'm just saying that when you go through, in my experience, when I go through longevity visualization, there are a lot of things that I really want or, thought I really wanted. And my passion for them just slowly starts to wane as I take myself through the paces, the life cycle of that item in my life. And if I get to the point where I can really imagine myself, wanting to give it away in a year, that's pretty much it. Another one bites the dust, right? Another one of those desires weeded off of the never-ending list of things that I think that I would love to love. I do think that it's worth mentioning that one's powers of longevity visualization improve with time. And I know that for some people, you might try and you might just not know. All you can do is take your best guess, right? If you don't have enough information to really know how a thing is likely to hold up, both physically over time because of its structure and in your heart over time because of who you are and what you love, it's okay. Don't beat yourself up. All you can do is your best. But in my experience, even if you can't be totally sure, longevity visualization is very grounding because it reminds you that you're buying something real and that your life is real and that the act of purchasing the thing and owning the thing isn't going to transform your life into a fantasy. It's like you're visualizing the reality, which is that you are going to wear it. It is not going to change you. And that kind of does segue into strategy number 3, which I tried to come up with a good name for, and I think I'm going to call it, first I wanted to call it dwelling in reality, but I think to make it more memorable, we'll call it reality playtime. So if you know me, you know my channel. This is where we invoke makeup playtime. And I'd also like to bring to the table something that I've been calling closet playtime. So kind of what I was just getting at about gathering information over time about the nature of our own love for beauty. Owning beautiful things, it can be, and it hopefully is, it's a way of connecting with yourself. And to make good purchasing decisions about this kind of stuff, you have to know yourself, right? We have to know what we actually do on a daily basis as opposed to what we think we do. We have to know what actually makes us joyful, what we actually want, as opposed to what we think we want or what we want to want, or what we think we should want. And in my experience, spending time with one's belongings does so much to expose the gap between the fantasy of what one wants and the reality of what one wants. You want a new lipstick. You're desperate for a new lipstick. You have this fantasy in your life that this lipstick, this one that you want to buy, is going to be the thing that will make you happy. And instead of buying it, you wish list and wait, and then you sit down with your makeup and you apply your existing lipsticks, the ones that you already own, the ones that you already bought. Closet playtime, of course, is the same thing, but in your closet, mucking around with the clothes you already own, putting on outfits, putting together outfits just to see how they're going to look. It's funny. I feel like some of us who really love fashion, we spend all of this time thinking about what we're going to buy, and then we get the clothing items, put them in the closet, and then we don't actually get to know them, like become familiar with how they make us feel, interact with them, and get feeling from them, feel the fabric of the love, right? We don't do it until we're like putting an outfit together to go somewhere, to do something. But you can have that experience and feel that fabric, both literally and figuratively, anytime, right? Like on a Saturday afternoon, you can just like put on an outfit, and then put on another outfit. Reality playtime, right? Dwelling in the reality of your relationship with beautiful things, the ones that you have in reality. If you're shopping for a pair of black pants because there really is a gap in your wardrobe and you really need black pants, playing with your clothes with those black pants in mind, it will really reveal for you exactly what you want those pants to look like and feel like, because you'll be imagining putting them on over and over again, and you'll be imagining creating outfits with them with the other clothes that are already in your wardrobe. You're like pulling the fantasy of those pants into your reality and hanging out with it there. But if you're shopping for pants because you need a fix, because you're like hungry for some feeling, hungry for something and you don't know what, you love fashion and you are just chasing that fashion joy. If that's why you're shopping for pants, then messing around in your closet and spending time with the things that you really love, it might end up being the only fix you need. And it might turn out that you like what you already have more than you think that you might end up liking the pants that you're thinking about buying, especially if you're doing that and you're doing some longevity visualization, like imagine those pants hanging in your closet for a year. When I want something badly, when I want to buy something, makeup playtime if the thing that I want is makeup, or closet playtime if the thing that I want is an article of clothing. It doesn't always talk me out of buying the thing, like the black pants if I really need them. Sometimes it kind of clarifies and shows me the way and helps me narrow it down. But it always changes my relationship with that desire. It changes it from something that feels almost knee-jerk, urgent, sometimes even a little desperate, changes it from that into something calmer, more practical, more related to the reality of my everyday life than it is to my fantasies about my life, right? My dream life. It helps bring me down to earth, and I always make better purchasing decisions from there. So that's it. The 3 strategies, just to remind you, are wish list and wait. And if wish list and wait feels totally impossible for some reason, especially if you're faced with sales or limited edition items, maybe dig into that a little bit. Maybe ask yourself why that is. Strategy number 2 is longevity visualization. What's this thing going to look like a month after I buy it? Where is it going to be in 6 months? What's it going to feel like to own it in a year? And strategy number 3 is reality playtime, dwelling in the life you already have with the things you already own. If you're a passionate lover of beautiful things, you're likely to have a lot of them already. And spending time with the things that you already have is guaranteed to give you a little breathing room, right? Shed a little light of some kind on that desire that you're trying to unpack. You can do all 3 at the same time. I almost always use all 3 of these strategies whenever I am faced with any kind of desire for a piece of makeup or a piece of clothing, and they help me a lot. And the last thing I want to say before I sign off is, Don't be too hard on yourself. If you're trying to change your habits to become a more thoughtful consumer, you can do a lot, but you can't predict the future. Sometimes you just can't know. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you go through the paces, you wish list and wait, you longevity visualize, you narrow it down, you do your best to make a good decision. The thing comes into your life and it just isn't what you thought it was going to be. That's okay, especially because it's likely just to be occasional. If you're really working on developing your intentional, thoughtful practices around your spending of your budget or your curating of your collection of beautiful things, it's likely just to happen once in a while. And it's okay if it does happen, because I think that sometimes when you start down this path of thoughtful consumerism, the idea that you might make a wrong decision can be totally paralyzing and can really kind of warp your relationship again with your love of beautiful things instead of setting it free and allowing it to flourish in a healthy way, which totally defeats the purpose. So don't be hard on yourself. It's complicated. And especially if you're just starting to dig into this stuff, to disentangle a healthy love of beauty from the kind of shopping that is an attempt to shop your way away from your unhappiness or shop yourself out of your life and into another life. It can be confusing, and it's definitely a journey. I mean, for me, it's been 4 years and counting that I've been trying to change myself in this way and figuring this stuff out. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for watching to the end. I really appreciate you for being here. And just a quick reminder to subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this. But no matter what you choose to do, don't forget to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world. That's the end.